Let me ask you something. Have you ever seen a mountain crack? A force so strong, yet even it bends under pressure. The chosen ones, those who carry the weight of change, of responsibility, of leadership, cry too. And when they do, it's not weakness. It's a moment of truth. They cry because they feel, they cry because they care, because the world they carry on their shoulders is heavy, because they see the pain, the injustice, the struggle, yet they are expected to remain unshaken. But let me tell you something, crying doesn't make them weak, it makes them human. Tears are not a sign of breaking, they are a release. A moment where the soul lets go of what the heart has been holding too long. And for the chosen ones, that release is necessary. You see, they are the ones who give and give, who stand tall even when the storm rages. But even the strongest trees must sway in the wind, or they will snap. The world looks at them and thinks they are unbreakable. They admire their strength, their vision, their relentless pursuit of purpose. But no one asks what happens when they reach their limit. When the weight they carry becomes too much, who holds them when they fall? The truth is, the chosen ones often cry alone, because their struggle is misunderstood, because they fear being seen as weak. But let me tell you something, real strength is not in holding back tears. Real strength is in having the courage to feel, to heal, and to rise again. Because after the storm, after the rain, after the tears, the chosen ones stand taller. Their pain is not in vain. Their struggle is their preparation. And every tear they shed is watering the seeds of their greatness. So if you are one of the chosen ones and you find yourself crying, don't fight it. Let it flow, let it cleanse you, let it strengthen you. Because when a chosen one cries, they are not breaking, they are transforming. We live in a world that equates strength with silence, with never bending, never breaking. We are taught that resilience means holding it all in, standing tall even when the weight is unbearable. But the truth is, the strongest people are not the ones who never cry. The strongest people are the ones who allow themselves to feel, to acknowledge their emotions, and to release what is too heavy to carry. Tears are not a sign of weakness. They are a language of the soul. They speak when words fail, when the weight of life becomes too much to articulate. They are the body's way of saying, I can't hold this anymore. And yet, society conditions us to see tears as something to hide, something to be ashamed of, something that makes us look fragile in the eyes of others. But fragility is not the enemy. Suppression is. Imagine a dam holding back the force of a raging river. For a while it may seem unshakable, unmovable, but without release, pressure builds, the cracks form, and one day that dam bursts, unable to contain what it was never meant to hold forever. The same happens within us. When we refuse to release our pain, it doesn't disappear, it festers. It turns into exhaustion, into anxiety, into numbness. Tears are the release valve that prevents that internal explosion. The world praises those who endure silently, who keep moving forward no matter how much they hurt inside. But endurance without release is not sustainable. The mind, the body, the heart, all have limits. And when those limits are ignored, the breakdown comes, whether we want it to or not. Tears are not weakness. They are an act of self-preservation. They are proof that we are still alive, still connected, still human. Pain demands to be felt. We can push it down, ignore it, distract ourselves with work, with people, with achievements, but eventually it resurfaces in the quiet moments, in the stillness of the night, in the moments when we least expect it. And in those moments, the bravest thing we can do is let it flow, let it move through us instead of trapping it inside. Great leaders, visionaries, warriors, each of them has faced moments where the weight of their mission brought them to their knees. And in those moments, they cried. Not because they were weak, but because they understood the power of release. They understood that their tears were not a defeat, but a cleansing, a reset, a reminder that they too are human. If you've ever felt like crying but held it back, if you've ever swallowed your pain to appear strong, if you've ever convinced yourself that real strength means keeping it together at all costs, you are not alone. But holding it in does not make you stronger. It only makes the burden heavier. Tears do not erase your strength, they remind you of it. Because every tear carries away a little bit of the weight you were never meant to carry alone. Every tear softens the hardness that life tries to build around your heart. Every tear clears the path for something new to grow. Pain is one of life's greatest paradoxes. It feels like an enemy, yet it shapes us in ways nothing else can. We spend so much time avoiding it, running from it, trying to silence it, believing that if we could just escape pain, life would be better. But pain doesn't come to destroy us, it comes to teach us. It comes to show us what we're made of, to stretch us beyond what we thought possible, to refine us into something stronger, something wiser, something unshakable. Every struggle, every heartbreak, every failure carries a lesson, but the problem is most people are too focused on the suffering to see the lesson. They ask, why me? Why is this happening? Instead of asking, what is this trying to teach me? And that one shift in perspective can change everything. Because when you stop seeing pain as a punishment and start seeing it as a teacher, you no longer suffer in vain. Think about the moments in your life when you've grown the most. The moments that shaped your character, deepened your wisdom, made you more resilient. Were they moments of comfort, or were they moments of struggle, of loss, of uncertainty? Growth is never easy. Transformation is never painless. A seed has to break before it can grow. A diamond has to endure pressure before it can shine. Pain is not the end, it's the beginning of something new. Pain teaches us what truly matters. It strips away illusions, removes distractions, and forces us to look at ourselves with raw honesty. It shows us where we need to heal, where we need to change, where we need to let go. And if we allow it, pain can become the very thing that leads us to our highest potential. The problem is, most people resist it. They numb it, ignore it, suppress it. But pain that is ignored does not disappear, it only waits. Some of the strongest people you know are not strong because life was kind to them. They are strong because pain taught them how to stand when everything was falling apart. They learned how to bend without breaking, how to rise after every fall, how to find meaning in suffering. They didn't escape pain, they faced it, they learned from it, and they allowed it to shape them. Because pain, when embraced, becomes power. The truth is, pain exposes what we are truly capable of. It introduces us to parts of ourselves we never knew existed. It forces us to dig deeper, to reach higher, to endure longer. And in that process, we discover that we are stronger than we ever imagined. That we can survive things we once thought would destroy us. That we are not defined by what happens to us, but by how we rise from it. If you are in pain right now, if life has tested you in ways you didn't expect, if you feel like you are being broken, understand this: you are not being punished. You are being prepared. You are being strengthened. You are being shaped into something greater. The version of you that will emerge from this will be wiser, tougher, and more unstoppable than the one that entered. Because pain, as unbearable as it feels in the moment, is never wasted. It is always teaching, always refining, always preparing you for something you cannot yet see. Tears are often misunderstood. People see them as weakness, as a loss of control, as something to be ashamed of. But the truth is, tears are proof of something deeper. They are a sign that someone cares, that something matters, that emotions run deep enough to move the heart. The ones who cry are not weak. They are the ones who feel the world in ways others ignore. There is strength in feeling. In a world that teaches people to harden themselves, to shut off emotions, to push past the weight of life without acknowledging it, those who allow themselves to feel are the brave ones. They refuse to become numb. They refuse to turn away from what matters. Their tears are not a sign of surrender. They are a testament to the depth of their care. The people who cry are the ones who carry the weight of others. They see pain, they feel suffering, they absorb the emotions that others overlook. They are the ones who stand in the gap, who listen when no one else does, who give when they have nothing left. They cry not because they are overwhelmed by weakness, but because their hearts refuse to stop caring. Some of the strongest leaders, the most impactful souls, the ones who change lives, are those who have shed tears along the way. They are the teachers who invest in their students beyond the classroom, the parents who stay up late worrying about their children, the friends who carry burdens that aren't even their own, the ones who feel deeply, love fiercely, and never turn their backs on the people who need them. Tears do not mean someone is breaking. Tears mean they are alive, connected, present. The most dangerous thing is not the person who cries, but the person who feels nothing at all. Because the moment we stop caring, the moment we stop feeling, we lose a piece of what makes us human. Indifference is the real weakness, not tears. The ones who cry are the ones who fight the hardest. They cry because they have given everything they had. They cry because they refuse to accept injustice, to ignore suffering, to walk away from the things that truly matter. Their tears do not slow them down, they fuel them. They cry, then they wipe their tears and keep going. Because their heart won't let them stop. You will notice that the people who care the most often cry in silence. Not because they don't want to be seen, but because they don't want to burden others with what they carry. They will hold the world together for everyone else, yet break quietly behind closed doors. And yet, even in their tears, they still rise. They still give. They still love. So the next time you see someone cry, don't mistake it for weakness. Understand that it is evidence of something greater. It is proof of love, of resilience, of an unbreakable spirit that refuses to stop caring, no matter how heavy the weight becomes. There are seasons in life when everything feels distant, when people fade away, when conversations become shallow, when the noise of the world grows quiet. It is in these moments that isolation begins to settle in, not as a punishment, but as a calling. Because sometimes, before you can step into the person you are meant to be, you must first be set apart. Isolation is uncomfortable because it forces you to face yourself. When the distractions are gone, when the opinions of others no longer drown out your own thoughts, you are left with the one thing most people spend their lives avoiding: truth. The truth about who you are, where you're headed, and what needs to change. Growth begins the moment you stop running from that truth. The greatest transformations happen in solitude. It is in isolation that ideas are born, that purpose is discovered, that the soul finds clarity. The world teaches you to fear being alone, to believe that solitude is loneliness, but they are not the same. Loneliness is the absence of connection, but solitude is the presence of self-awareness. The ones who embrace isolation are the ones who come back stronger. Every great leader, every visionary, every person who has ever shifted the world had a season of separation. A season where they withdrew, where they walked away from the noise, where they sat in silence and listened. Because in order to lead, you must first understand yourself. In order to inspire, you must first discover what truly moves you. In order to find your purpose, you must first be willing to sit with it. People misunderstand isolation. They think it means something is wrong. They assume it is a sign of failure, of rejection, of being forgotten. But isolation is often protection. It removes distractions. It clears out relationships that no longer serve you. It breaks patterns that were keeping you stuck. It forces you to realign, to redirect, to rise into something greater than you were before. There is a reason why the caterpillar isolates itself before it becomes a butterfly. It does not transform in a crowd. It does not grow its wings under the gaze of others. It withdraws, it cocoons, it allows the process to take its course, and when the time is right, it emerges unrecognizable, unstoppable, free. If you are in a season of isolation, do not resist it. Do not rush back to what is familiar simply because the silence feels uncomfortable. Lean into it, use it, let it shape you, because the version of you that will emerge from this will not be the same as the one that entered. You are not being punished. You are being prepared. You are not losing people. You are gaining purpose. You are not being forgotten. You are being transformed into something